Welcome.
Thank you. I didn't know about this hearing until I actually noticed it going on, so I don't have any prepared remarks. I'd like to, my name is Representative Tim Horrigan. I represent Durham, Lee, and Madbury. I wasn't born in Durham, but I did grow up there, so I know the people of Durham have always been just very concerned about sustainability. They've always been very supportive of local agriculture, which doesn't mean we don't enjoy our bananas. It's just we'd like to ship some of our own, but we also like to let our farmers ship some of our products, our maple syrup, our cheese, and so forth, to other countries. So that's been concerned, I think, even since the days of the founders. About a year ago, I was looking through the state law library, and in the very first volume of Supreme Court decisions that they have there in the library, one of the first things was a case from Durham about a dispute about the hog reeve that a local farmer's hogs had escaped onto the public road, and there's a dispute over that. So local agriculture has always been an integral part of my community, and I think we've always been aware that Durham is, one small town in a small state in a country which is part of a small planet, and certainly private property rights are very important. In fact, that's one of the best ways to have a sustainable sustainable economy is to have property rights, so people feel a special responsibility for their little piece of the earth. So I think certainly there's very strong support for sustainability. I think the people in my district are very aware, as I said, the importance of local agriculture. They're very aware that the oil-based economy is going to have to change, that we're going to, that we can't have the type of uncontrolled economic growth that we've had. Obviously, we have to find the growth. We have to find the growth from other avenues from where we've been getting it recently. So I think, and I think this might impact a lot of local initiatives that have a lot of value to the people of Durham, even something as simple as our weekly farmers market that starts on June 4th. It's on the town hall lot, and this bill could be construed as preventing the town from lending the town property for the use of the farmers market. So I would sort of urge the committee to defeat this non-germane amendment. I might also add, just on a parliamentary thing, that although non-germane amendments to Senate bills are allowable, that doesn't mean all non-germane. We can certainly, if it's a bad idea, as I believe it, that's a good enough reason to reject a non-germane amendment. And also, this particular amendment seems something to be more appropriate as a as a House resolution or House concurrent resolution rather than something in an actual bill. It doesn't really have a whole lot of actual. There's like a few changes to the law, but I think this something would have been more appropriately addressed, and I guess it has been addressed several times as a resolution. So I would urge you for that reason as well to defeat this resolution, even though I'm probably counting the votes. I have a pretty good idea of how it's going to turn out. So.
Thank you, Representative. Can you take questions?
Oh, sure, yes.
Okay. I'm going to start off with the reason why I reserve the right as the chairman, because some of the things you said I'm a little confused.
Yes.
First of all, I wanted for clarification on, this is actually germane.
Okay.
Because it passed the House under our rule.
All right, fair enough, yes.
In the committee. The non-germane part of it is because we're attaching it to SB 217, which deals with canned mount. This is a process that's been done for many, many years in the House. Yes. That's legal.
Oh, yes, I understand, of course,
so
yes.
I want to make sure we clarify that, what you said. Second of all, you also said about sustainability, local agriculture, private property rights. Did you even read I.C.L.E.I?
I'm not sure exactly what I mean by reading I.C.L.E.I. It's it's an organization. It's not a publication. I have read some websites and some publications related to it, and I have spoken out against other resolutions that are along the same lines as this amendment.
Well, the reason why I asked that question here is, before anyone else asks you these questions, because I.C.L.E.I, you said you support private property rights.
Yes.
I want to make sure I know where you're going, because I.C.L.E.I is against private property rights. So
I'm not sure how to answer that, because I don't feel, from what I've heard, that it's against private property rights, and certainly, but you're certainly the value of, say, my property, like the one that my family owns in Durham that I live on, it has a lot to do. The value of that property has a lot to do with of what's going on in the properties around it. I've got, I live in a I live in a nice community. I live near a walkable downtown. I've got a well-maintained road going past my house, et cetera, et cetera. So my, for example, my little quarter acre near downtown Durham is not, it's not a universe in and of itself. It's part of a community, which is part of the state of New Hampshire, and so forth and so on.
Before I go to Representative Cunningham, my final question is, so you're in support of the UN controlling and doing things in your community versus the state of New Hampshire, is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I'm in favor of allowing local communities to do what they see fit to create a sustainable environment in their community, and if that's so, I mean, I certainly, the UN actually has very little power to control what goes on in Durham or Wyndham or any other community. We had a resolution about its budget last year, which I testified on. The budget of the entire United Nations is less than the budget of the state of New Hampshire, and as we all know, the state of New Hampshire can barely even control, its however many just a few thousand square miles of property in North America. So yes. I mean, I certainly don't favor the UN running my town, but I don't think that's like what's going on with the programs here. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative. And please interrupt me if I misunderstood your testimony. But I understood you to say that you felt this particular amendment to Senate Bill 217 may prevent your community from having a farmer's market on the town property. I was wondering if you could point out the section in this amendment that does that.
Oh.
I can't find it.
Well, I'm probably concerned about Section 5. I just got this amendment. 10 minutes ago. Most of the time, I was standing there, like, trying to figure out what I was going to say after I impulsively sent in my pink card. So but I do believe 31(8)B could be construed as preventing communities from participating in initiatives like that, and it does get some state. There is some state funding that helps support that. The farmers market in my town, we are part of a statewide program, which presumably, depending on how it's enforced and who's enforcing it, that is one of the things that maybe could be impacted if somebody decided that was against what would be RSA 31(8)B should we pass the bill. But and also Section 6, I think, also could impact that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative.
I'm sorry, wait, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I'm thanking you for.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Representative.
And again, thank you,
Yeah.
Representative. Well, then I guess this would perhaps alleviate my confusion. If Section 5 may impact you, it prohibits only contracts, funding from or funding to I.C.L.E.I. So I would take it that some form, your farmer's market contracts with I.C.L.E.I.
Well, it says, and its derivatives. So, I mean, if we had, I'm just speaking about a bill. As I said, I'm speaking about a fairly, a two-page piece of legislation that I've only seen, now about 12 minutes ago. So I'm.
Point taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Gatti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you,
Yeah.
Representative. I didn't want to put you on a spot, but I write a lot of letters to the editor.
Yeah.
And if Agenda 21 and I.C.L.E.I, in the tenets, in their brief, they are totally and absolutely against private ownership of property, which is diabolically opposed to the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire. Which one are you going to back?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. Certainly the countries that have abolished private property have seen actually more ecological problems. They had more problems with sustainability. That's certainly something I would oppose. Problem is I just don't know if we share the same premise about even what it is I.C.L.E.I and Agenda 21 are. Now, certainly if we, certainly countries like the old Soviet Union, which tried to abolish private property, that was a disaster. They went, very far in that direction, and that actually caused more environmental damage, than than our current system of the United States does. But
Chairman, I've had,
Yeah.
I have a hearing problem, and I'm having a problem understanding and hearing what you're saying. So I didn't really get the answer.
oh, well, I'm not sure how to answer the question, because the problem is, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that anything that I.C.L.E.I and Agenda 21 are doing is the abolition of private property. Now, if I believed that this was the abolition of private property, I would, of course, be opposed to it. And I guess also was trying to say that countries experiment with the abolition of private property. That proved to be an environmental disaster. So they had, a harder time feeding themselves. They had a harder time, taking care of their people. So certainly, capitalism, including private property rights, that's obviously a much better system than any system that abolishes private property.
If I may, I'm going to stop the question.
Thanks. Yes, I have another hearing. Yes, I also need to go to, I need to go exec some petitions anyway, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.